Hey, here we are. Welcome to Hammer Away. I can't believe that we're hanging out again. Me and Doug Pinnick.
Hey,
It's been a lot of years. It's been a
yeah.
lot of years. We've met up a few times. Nothing crazy. I don't want Doug to think, hey, he's telling me he hangs out all the time. No, we don't.
No, no.
No, we don't. Not yet.
But every time is special, and that's the
It
way it's
is.
supposed to be. That's the way it's
It
supposed to
truly
be.
is. It was back 1989
Jesus.
when you guys were on the Gretchen tour that you and I met the first time.
Oh wow, that was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, you were here in St. Louis
Okay.
and playing a place on the Landing downtown.
Yeah, that little club.
A little club called First Rock.
Yep, we used to rock that little club.
Yeah. Yeah, you killed it that night. That's when I became a believer.
Wait, that was a little teeny club, like really, really, really little.
Yeah, very little.
Oh, I remember that show because
Yeah.
we were right up against the window,
Yes.
like this
And I
little
think it was
teeny
raining.
stage.
I think it was raining that night.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's
We
one of
rocked.
those moments
I
that's
remember
like,
that was one of those rocking hard nights. I mean, I remember we really had a good night, even though it was so small.
yeah. 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 Did you play a lot of little tiny places like that at that stage of the career?
Yeah, we probably still do in some in some places. Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Well, back then that we were out for blood and we had just come out. We were a brand new band, so you played when you could.
Right.
And the good thing about it, the place was packed and it was very encouraging. For the promoters and us. So that's cool. But yeah, we played some pretty small places and some big places, but the small places usually are little shitholes that it's where everybody plays. There's a place in Phoenix, Arizona. It's probably as big as my living room and dining room put together. The band stands on the floor, and everybody that has a record out has played there. There's nowhere else to play. From Pantera, Soundgarden, Elsa, everybody played there. The first row of kids in front of you are right there. They're that close to you. Okay, the rest of them couldn't see you because the stage was I couldn't take my bass and lift it up. It would hit the ceiling.
Wow.
It's a
Wow.
tiny, tiny, tiny club. And literally everybody played there for years and years. There was no other place. I mean, literally for almost all the 90s. Slayer, everybody played there.
Does it still exist?
I don't know if it does or not. I mean, it didn't even have a dressing room.
Wow.
You got off the tour bus and walked in the back door, and the back door was the stage.
I've been to a place like that in Kansas City when I saw Striper. I saw Striper there.
I bet Kansas City probably has places like that too, for sure.
I pulled up.
We never played Kansas City very often. For some reason, we couldn't get arrested there. We just, I guess there was no airplay or whatever. And we were from Springfield, Missouri. We used to go to Kansas City all the time and play cover music. But after we got signed, we couldn't get nothing up there.
That's weird.
Yeah, still can't really. I mean, Kansas City was that? Yeah, the club we played in Kansas City was in this area. It was like a walk-in bar that you walked into. They had about 3 tables and a dance floor. And the dance floor was pretty small. And then a stage. It was kind of high with a really cool PA. That's what we always played in Kansas City.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. We probably, if we went back, we probably still would play there. I mean, literally, there's places where we can't get arrested,
That just doesn't make sense to me. Especially...
Yeah, it makes sense to me now, looking back at it, because, we've always been that kind of band that didn't appeal to the masses. We more appealed to the musicians who got what we were doing,
Sure.
I mean, what we did wasn't mainstream or still do. What we do isn't mainstream or commercial. It's sort of like we just kind of throw a whole bunch of shit together and somehow we can make it work, or maybe we can't. And maybe that's why nobody really buys it, the masses. But there's something about our music that only the chosen few love us, and they love us. And they have given me a career for 40 years, and they still buy our music, and we still continue to abuse them by giving them crap sometimes. But we, I shouldn't say that. It's been 15 years since we put a record out. We got a new record in the.
Wait a minute. Is that what happened during that time? No, I'm just kidding.
We got a new record in the can. It's still being mixed, and within, I would say, hopefully next year when the COVID thing dies down and we can get back to touring and get back to the normal thing, we will put this record out and go on tour and just revamp the whole system and go out and do our thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. But the reason I say abuse our fans is because we haven't given them any music in about 15 years. And you know, rightfully so, I can say there's a couple records that we've done that people didn't like as much as the other ones. And I understand why. We were lost in the wilderness. We were trying to figure our way out, and we were giving everybody everything that we could at that moment. And everything we've ever done is honest and pure, whether it's good or bad. We really meant it.
Dude, that's everybody's life. That is I was just trying to help. Like, you know, you just blow it sometimes. You just you don't want to. You don't mean to. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, because I mean, I started off, I was on the Gretchen tour. I already had that album because I was doing writing. I wrote a review of that show that night, which was blazing and awesome. I just want you to know.
Thank you.
But no, and I think while I was at the show, I bought the first run. So that's where I got that copy, and then just kept on from there. But that's going to be a question for me here in just a minute. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm very glad you brought that up because I really want to talk a little bit about that. Hey, and our buddy Lance Jennings is here. If anybody else is out there watching, seeing this live, go ahead and chat in. You can chat in, ask a question, and while we're going through this and everything. So first thing I do, Doug, with all of my guests is I have a lightning round.
Okay.
All right. We'll see where you land within the time frame.
Okay.
All right. What was the first album you ever owned?
First album I ever owned was Sly and Family Stone's Greatest Hits. No. It was Sly and the Family Stone Stand.
I was going to say it would have been a little earlier than that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was Stand because I was pretty poor and I didn't buy records. I mean albums. We bought back in the day. Nobody bought albums. You know, we bought 45s. Right. You know, and if I got some extra money, I would try to buy a record, but it wasn't a big deal back then. It's kind of like it is now. You know, you listen to singles and you played that over and over again, and that was your deal. You know.
Right. Very cool. Science fiction or fantasy? Which do I like? Yes.
Oh, science fiction.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Oh yeah.
Cool.
I'll watch a sci-fi movie no matter how horrible it is.
How about Mystery Science Theater?
That was a lot of fun.
The
things they got away with saying. I loved it.
I just think about when you say no matter what it is, good or bad, I think about, that's why I had to say that, because I thought,
I got a real bad one for you. Ever heard of the Tomorrow People?
Yes, I have heard of that.
Oh my God, that's probably the worst.
Really?
Worst one. Oh, it's the worst. Go look it up.
Okay.
I mean, I used to watch it just amazed at how horrible. I mean, you could see the strings hanging from the spaceship as it was floating through space.
Like Plan 9 from outer space.
Yeah. And when they disappeared to travel somewhere, the way it, this is this 60s, early 70s, so it wasn't very good. But anyway, but Flash Gordon was also great. You know, when you fly from the Earth to Saturn, and you never leave oxygen.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like there's clouds and they're going to Mars.
You know, when I was a kid, they had that on Super Friends, where all the Super Friends are out in space.
Yeah.
And just because somebody's carrying Batman, he still doesn't have any
Right.
equipment.
Do you know, people, we didn't really know that there was no air out there till probably the 60s or 70s when it became like known. But before that, I don't think we ever thought about it. You know, and it is weird, but that's so funny. It's just like the Earth flat and round. I mean, it's like, you know, what can you say about that? I mean, nobody's been out there to look back, except one person, and you know, maybe they drugged him. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, and who knows where those pictures are from?
You know, the flag was floating that way, and there's supposed to be no air up there. You know, what's the deal? So,
how'd that happen?
You know, makes you wonder. There's so many things that makes you wonder.
It does. I mean, and when it all comes down to it, we still can't all be peaceful to each other. So,
I have an answer for that one, but you can ask me later about that one.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I will. And also, I'm going to put you on our list because it sounds like we need to have a discussion about movies.
You know, I don't watch movies hardly ever, but if it's sci-fi, I'll watch it.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm not a movie buff, and people always, you know, I never was. After one movie, I'm ready to go get up and walk around. Give me two, and I'll go crazy. You know, I can't.
I certainly can be like that myself. I mean, you know, my wife will love to watch movies and whatnot, and I'm like, oh, how long is it? Or, you know, do you want to watch another one? And I'm like, no, I better go get some stuff done.
I know people get up and put a movie on, and I'm horrified. You know, unless you're an actor and it's your profession. Yeah. Just, hey, I'm gonna watch a movie, lay here in bed for 3 hours. You know, you haven't even got up and eaten breakfast. It's like, geez, what's up?
Yeah, the life of binging, right?
But people do that, you know, to each his own. That's what I say. Do what you do and do it to the fullest.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The first song you wrote.
Yeah, it was called Could Be You, Could Be Me. The riff was doom 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 boom. And the horns went dit 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 dit. And the guitar and the bass did the same riff. And I didn't play guitar or anything at that time. I played saxophone in seventh grade. And I knew kind of notes and where to place and write it out. Yeah. So I wrote out these horn parts for the brass section in the band. I was in a band. We were kind of like Sly and the Family Stone and the Allman Brothers, if you can imagine that.
Wow.
And I showed them all these parts and I sung them to them and I played and I charted out the horn parts and we did it. And that was it. It was like, I don't even know if it was any good or not. I think the riff was probably a riff from Booker T and the MGs, from some Stax Bolt song somewhere, you know, Sam and Dave did or something. And the horns are straight out of Sly and the Family Stone. Wow. So, and I remember the lyrics or the words. It just could be you, could be me. And it's all about just we could be dead. You know, I was like 18. I think it was 19 or something like that.
Pretty introspective for a teenager.
I always wrote songs. Well, I was pretty dumb. I was very much unaware, but I had a lot of questions, and what I saw that didn't add up, I had to speak out. Gotcha. I didn't know much. I didn't know much about anything, and I didn't even know I didn't know much. I didn't think I knew everything. I was just so happy I could learn more about whatever this was that I was inquisitive about. You know, I've always been a person why does that work and how does that work that way? And you say that, well, show me. You know, how does that work? I've been dissecting stereos and radios all my life. As a kid, I would get shocked because I'd be pulling tubes out trying to figure out which way they go and how, you know, I was fascinated by that needle that went down on the record and it spun around. I'm going, how does this sound from this go to that, then out of these speakers? I got to figure this out. I'm like 4 years old, but it was like, oh yeah, I've always been that way, you know, to a fault almost. But It's like a balancing act. I just want to know why, so that I think there's a fear in me that's afraid of the unknown, and so I work real hard to learn, so I'm not caught off guard, that I'm not destroyed or whatever it is, mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever you want to call it. But my guard is always up, going. Somebody comes to the room and says, "Everybody jump," and I'm stop and go, "Why?" When everybody else jumped. Literally, I am that way. If everybody says, "Let's jump," or jump off the do anything, I'll stop and go, "Wait a minute." And they're all gone and they're laughing at me. And go, "Oh, you're missing out." And I'm going, "Yeah." I don't feel like sticking that up my arm, because I might be one of those people that won't give it up and ruin his whole life. I'll let you do that.
Right.
And that's what I mean. It's like I would see what the consequence could be. And even if it was only 10%, I usually decided not to do it, because I figured, just my luck, I'll be that 1%. I've always been that way, to a fault also, because sometimes I won't take a chance. Sometimes I just won't dive out there and go somewhere where I need to go, which would be a good thing. So, nobody's any different than anybody else. We all got to balance that shit out. That's all I'm saying.
Sounds like I need to get you and my buddy Toby Jepson together.
As long as he doesn't talk a lot, because I talk a lot. That's
the three of us might as well just call it a weekend.
Okay,
if we got together on that.
Okay, then. I talk too much. I tell people, if you like to talk a lot, don't hang out with me.
I think it's awesome. I think it's great.
One of the funniest things I heard was Snoop Dogg. There's a song on the radio, and the chorus was, "If it ain't about me, why are we talking about it?" And I thought, how egotistically, how disgusting that was. And I thought, ooh, that's the way we all are, aren't we? And I started going, okay, take note, So yeah, give somebody else a chance.
Yeah. I always one of my famous line, okay, because I always say it, so around me it's famous, is that when you step out of your house, when you drive out of your driveway, just remember you are in everybody else's world. They are not in yours.
Exactly. Whew. So, that's a hard one for all of us musicians.
Yeah.
It really is.
But doesn't it work great when we can allow ourselves that?
Yeah, and you know what else? It's a freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really big freedom to not be responsible or have to be responsible for anybody but yourself.
Right. And I've always thought about it as if I was in a room full of people and doing a TED talk, let's just say, I'd be like, who's the most important person in this room?
There.
And it would actually be the person next to you, or the person across the room is the most, because if we think that way, that person next to me is the most important person, then we can do for them, and then they can do for us and somebody else, and it just goes on.
It's very true.
So if we'd all just stop for maybe 5 years giving each other shit, maybe we could start trying to figure it out.
I always say, instead of giving people shit, stop. Stop giving shit to cause shit.
No, that's very important too. Yes.
Shut the fuck up and let a person live their life.
Right.
And don't even agree to disagree. Just let them be who they are. Because even when you say, "Oh, I agree to disagree," you still pull up a wall. It's like, I don't get you, but you do what you do. And as long as you're honest and true about it, then, dude, I have respect for you, and you go do that. And maybe I'll change my mind one day. That's how you do it. You can't say, "Well, you can't change my mind." I'm going, well, my mind changes every day. And people call me confused. "Oh, you're confused." I'm going, no, I'm not confused, because I can change my mind every day.
You're kind of continually, oh shoot, I just had it.
You do the same thing.
Continually aware.
Us old people forget shit.
You're continually aware. That's right.
Yes, of your bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm continually aware of, my bullshit. When the more I get upset at someone else or get cranky about someone else, I stop and go, oh, dude, you do exactly that. Come on. You know you do. You know, and or if somebody does stuff and it gets on my nerves, I go, okay, I'm going to get in their head and find out why this is the way you think. Right. And when you see it, when you get yourself out of the way, and when you see it, you go, okay, well, that's really who you are, and nothing's going to change that. So I'm not going to let that bother me. I'm going to work around it.
Absolutely.
And everything is fine. You know, and that's because, you know, we're selfish. We're all selfish. Mm-hmm. I'm probably one of the most selfishest people in the world because I've never had to really share anything with anyone really in my life, even growing up as a child raised by my great grandmother and not my other brothers and sisters. So I'm a very selfish person in many ways and controlling in many ways. And I've had to learn to let people be who they are and let them into my space and not feel intimidated like they're going to take my space away or whatever, you know. And I never, ever, ever, ever feel better than anybody else. I'm better than you. It's like I can sing better than you. I look better than you. I always feel like I'm the least. I'm the one who looks the worst. And I remember I was reading an article way back in the day on King's X, and they said, yeah, Jerry Gaskell, I forgot what they said. He was like, he's the something of the band. Ty Tabor, he's the pretty boy. And Doug, he's the rock star. And I thought, I'm not good looking. Oh, no. You know, and all of a sudden I could see my hair standing up in my jackets, and all of a sudden I go, oh, yeah, well, kind of, you know, I dress like a rock star. That's what we thought we were supposed to look like. But
that's it.
But I'm not good looking. No. And it confirmed everything I thought about myself that I wasn't, you know. You'd be like my mom when she yelled at me one time and said, you stop that singing. You can't sing anyway. Quit that bellowing. I was 16 and I would get on your nerves. I never stopped singing. And I took it as not an insult, but I thought, oh man, I'm not that good. So every time I walk on stage, I don't think I'm going to come out here and woo these people and do what I do. I get up and go, wow, I hope I can get through this because this is what I love to do. And these people are here. So let's do this. And when they respond, I go, I don't get why you respond because I suck. But I go, you guys, whatever you see, whatever you're getting, okay, I'm going to accept that and stop beating myself up. But I'm still going to keep trying to improve and keep trying to cut myself, give myself some slack and try to get better. Mm-hmm. You know, people always come up to me and, you know, I'll say, hey, here's my new record. And they go, oh, man, I love you. My friends of mine, close friends. And I'll give them my new record and they'll go listen and they go, oh, man, it's great. And that's about it. I don't want to hear them say, or they'll say like, man, that's you, man. That's what you do, man. And I'm going, no, I don't want to hear that's what I do. I want to know if I've improved. I'm 70 years old, but I still want to improve. I still want to put a record out that people go, oh man, he's still pushing the envelope. Right. I want to keep moving. I don't want to be like a lot of people that play music and sort of moved a different direction and kind of didn't pay as much attention to their songwriting or what they're doing, you know, and it suffered and it kind of, I backed off, you know. And so, you know, I always tell people, I go, I got my favorite records by every band. Mm-hmm. One or two records that I thought, that's the record. The rest of the record songs and records, I'll go, And I know King's X is the same way. And I strive not to be that way. Even though, you know, people say what they want to. But I strive not to be that way.
That's fantastic.
I remember Yoko Ono. I was 50 years old at that time. Yoko Ono was 70, and she had a hit record in the disco charts. And I remember it was all over Billboard. A 70-year-old woman had a hit single. And I thought, wow. And here I am, 70, still making music, still making records. I'm going, wow, we can still do this. It's awesome. Yeah.
Now, I don't know how many other people, and we still are toward the end of our lightning round. I don't know how many. See, that's the beauty of it.
Oh, we're still doing a lightning round.
That's the beauty of the lightning round, brother. We don't worry about that.
All right.
But I don't know how many other, because I have to add on to this length of this thing now. I was telling you earlier, I was so interested to find out that you were 70, born in 1950.
Yeah.
And you're almost the same age as Phil Kagi.
No, me and Phil are the same age, I think, because we
Yeah,
played
but
together. We talked about that.
did he just turn, or is he going to,
Well, in number, we're the same age.
Yeah, in number, right. Right. Because I looked online and today it says they're both 70.
Yeah.
But
Phil.
I had no clue that you were 39 when you and I met.
Yeah, dude. I was 43 when we did Dogman.
Yeah.
I was 38 when Other Side of the Planet came out. Everybody thought I was 20.
I know. I was like,
Not lucky.
I mean, I almost put this in the lightning round, but I won't. I'll wait.
Go ahead.
Okay. So what band, if you could see them, at the peak of their career, somebody could transport you back, what band would it be that you'd want to see at the peak of their career that you grew up?
Sly and the Family Stone, because I never got to see them live. In what was it? When did the riots happen in Chicago? It was 69 or 70. I forget. In Chicago. We went up to Comiskey Park in Chicago.
Okay.
Sly and the Family Stone was playing at the park. We got there around noon. There was 40,000 people there. Chicago was overrun. And I remember we got there early and got a seat. And this band called Fat Mattress came on, and they started rocking out. It was around noon. And all of a sudden, people started yelling, "Sly, Sly." Next thing I remember, there was shit flying over my head. Just everybody was throwing stuff at this band. And there was a girl singer, and they were just a rock band doing their thing. And I'm into it, And so all of a sudden, the promoter comes on and says, "Listen," he says, we have a whole day of music for you. Sly is not going to be on until 8:00 tonight. He said, so enjoy the show. And at that point, everybody went nuts. The reason why they did was because Sly was notorious for showing up late or not showing up at all. He had gotten to that place. So I think it triggered. Everybody thought maybe Sly ain't going to show up and this guy's fucking with us. So a riot started to happen. And all of a sudden, I looked over on the other side of the stage, and the National Guard were lined up all the way across. And I said to the people I was with, I said, let's get out of here. And I remember we were trying to leave the park, and we saw a bunch of kids turn a police car over, turn it on the side. I said, let's get out of here. And we left, and that was it. Yeah, that's history. And that was the only time I was going to be able to see Sly and the Family Stone, and I never did.
Dude.
Yeah, I wish I could have. Other than that, I would have loved to see Band of Gypsies, probably on New Year's Eve at that show at the Fillmore. If I could have been there. Yeah. Well, maybe not, because I've seen a couple live things of Hendrix from the audience standpoint. It's like if you pull up there's a Hendrix video of the Isle of Wight, I think it was, whatever that island was, about 100 people showed up. Right. There's a guy that videos it way back at the soundboard, and all you hear is guitar. All you hear is fucking guitar.
Wow.
And Marshalls are loud amps anyway, and I remember back in the day, anybody that had a Marshall amp, it sucked because we didn't have overdrives back in the 70s. So you had to have a bass rig loud enough, and nobody did. And I remember going to a festival back, just a local festival, and I went over the hill and I got out of my car and parked, and all I heard was a guitar scream, and I walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and finally got to where the people were, and then I started hearing a little bit of bass and drums. And I thought, man, so we got to fix this. This is before we mic things and stuff, That's why I played so loud back in the day. Even I had 8 SVTs with 3,000 watts going.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we just, back in the 70s, it was, if you weren't loud, people didn't respect you. You had to be so loud you couldn't tell what was going on.
Yeah.
Literally. And then all of a sudden, But if we weren't, or you walk up, me and my friends would walk into a club back in the early 70s, and if there was only one little Marshall stack in the SVT, we walked out the door. They had to have a wall.
Yeah.
And back in Chicago, nobody had a record deal. Nobody had anything but a fucking job, but they had Marshall stacks.
That's it. As long
Anyway.
as you got that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's amazing. So what would you say album wise was the peak of their career?
Sly and Family Stone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Stand. That was to me their best record. And that was their last record. Because after that record, they put out the greatest hits. And then there's a riot going on. Sly pretty much played most of everything on that record. And at that point, half the band had left. And Larry Graham, I think, had left at that point, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Larry Graham.
Hey, my man, he changed everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
There would be no Flea. There would be no, God, anybody that slapped plugs, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
We could talk about a million of those.
Yeah.
They're so amazing.
Nobody does it like him.
Yeah.
And there's a groove and a precision and a simplicity to how he does it, you know, that you don't see too often. I hear a lot of bass players that slap and pluck, and then they get in the 100-mile-an-hour thing, you know, and I'm going, what happened? What happened to being a bass player?
Right.
You lay the thing down with the bass and the drums. I mean, you lay the thing down with the drums so everybody can move and let everybody else do the good stuff.
Right.
Anyway, that's my philosophy. Hey, you bass players, do what you do and be proud. Own it. I don't care how fast you play. Do it, own it, and you'll be recognized for it. Bless you.
That's it. That's basically it. For sure. I've been playing a little over 20 years now, and it's fun. I didn't start anything till I was 36.
Dude, I didn't start playing bass till I was 23.
See, there you go.
We're our oldies.
Yeah. So I'm like, they didn't have a bass player, and I said I'd love to do it.
Oh wow.
So I did it on keyboards for a few weeks, and then bought a bass on a Saturday with my buddy, a whole Fender bass pack, and played 8 days later.
All right.
Then haven't stopped. So
I love bass.
The only thing that gets tough is keeping bands together, which is a funny thing about yours. So my last question, lightning round. Would you consider yourself having the eye of the tiger or the heart of a lion? Is there a C? Yes.
Is there a choice? I want both.
That's and
and that's what I strive for, to have a heart of a lion. But what was the other thing?
The eye of the tiger.
I feel like I have a heart of a lion, but the eye of the tiger, I feel I'm not good at that. I'm getting better, and I'm getting more focused as I get older. Yeah. But my heart got me into more trouble than my eyes. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. I do know it. I definitely do. Looks like Dave Highway's here. He says two legends together. Well,
hey Dave, how you doing, man?
I'm borrowing a lot of legend right here is what I'm doing.
No, I don't know what legend is.
But I mean, congratulations, first of all, to basically 40 years of, it's truly, as far as like King's X is concerned, it's just under 40, right?
I don't know. With King's X, we've never documented hardly anything, and we never pay attention to anything.
Gotcha.
I mean, if somebody will post like our fourth album today, it was released, and I'll go, it was, and I'll repost it. And this funny thing is, the three of us, we never even mentioned it to each other. Even every now and then someone go, man, we've been together, man. It's almost 40 years. When would we? I'm not sure. How many records got? I don't know how many records they got out. Let's just name this one 15 then, because I'm not sure. It's
right.
13 or greatest hits or best of, is that count as a record? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then we just said, let's just name it 15 and fuck it. And we did. People, it's not our 15th record. It's just called 15.
Well, you figure if Apple can skip numbers when they're doing stuff, why the hell not?
We just do things. To a fault. We just do things. It's just, if it sounds ridiculous, we just do it. Or if we get into something where we're trying to make a decision on art or something like that, and we just can't come to a decision, we just kind of go, whatever's the most ridiculous, we all would kind of go with. And it's like that speaks us. We are disorientated, we're disjointed, we're three individual people that are not alike. We don't hang out with each other. We don't like the same music. We're not attracted to the same things. We're so different. Maybe that's why we stayed together for so long.
Well,
we're never in each other's hair.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's real interesting. Because that you mention it and say it that way, because there was something that I was thinking about asking you, and you've kind of already answered part of it, but here was my thing, that King's X is one of the bands that is an classic rock band who have the same members. Not many bands. Whether
ZZ Top, U2, name a couple. Somebody name some in. Come on.
Oh yeah, nice. That was another good one.
I want to know, because I've talked to Billy Gibbons twice about doing a show or a series of shows with bands that have been together, original bands, for over 25 years.
Right.
And the only bands that I know of at the moment that have a record deal are U2 and ZZ Top and King's X. I don't know any other band that's had the same members from the first record. That's a prerequisite. You have to be the band that long. And we even brought up Aerosmith, and Billy said no, because some people left and came back, and he said they don't qualify. He was very adamant about that. I haven't talked to him since about it. I hope I run into him again and see if he really. I would love it if he would do that. Or, that'd be cool. Anyway.
Yeah. So what would you say? One of my because I have dear friends that that either I'm in bands with or I'm doing projects with. It's that tight of a brotherhood that you've got to do something. So I think a lot about them as brothers, and I was wondering, tell us about your relationships with Jerry and with Ty, and what do each of them mean to you in your life?
Well, that I've known them for 40 years. I've lived with them basically longer than anybody else I've ever lived with. They're like my brothers. I mean, we have our differences. We have our clashes. We have, anything that there is that you can bring up, we've probably had to deal with it. We're all insecure. We're all temperamental. We're all selfish. We're normal people. That are. And Jerry always said it's like a marriage. Some marriages work and some marriages don't. In this band, I think that we have a bond that I don't know where it comes from or why.
Right.
But I know that no matter how much we have a problem with each other personally or have had a problem, we're family. And when we walk on stage, something happens and we like it and we're committed to it, and we don't see anything beyond it. This is what we do, and this is what we married into, and we're not going to change it, no matter how much we wish maybe somebody else was replacing them. Which I don't think of that myself as I wish we had somebody else playing the band, but I'm just saying hypothetically, that if there was, you wish you played with someone else. I've never ever felt that. I've played with a lot of people. Yeah. And I've been in a lot of side projects, but when I play with King's X, when I play with Ty and Jerry, there is something that happens that I can't explain, and there's a flow and a easiness and a trust that is so overwhelming that you don't want to disrupt it. You know, we listen. They're one of the few people, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all musicians are not like this, but they're some of the fewest people in my life that when I play with them, we connect in a way that it always works. No matter what it is, no matter how bad or good it is, we still have that magic. There's a way they play in the beat. I mean, Ty has a perfect rhythm. It's kind of scary to watch him put tracks down in the studio because he's like a robot. It's so perfect that gives you goosebumps. Jerry's the same way. They're always on it, no matter what. They don't lose it. They just, there's no glitch in the, there's never a glitch. It's just a wall of, it's a freight train that doesn't change. And for me, I grew up not paying attention to rhythm. I'm all about emotion. I play around the beat, up the beat, behind the beat. I'm singing and playing, and I'm this just whirlwind all over the place. And those guys are so strong in what they do that they reel what I do into a place where it works. It makes sense, and I haven't been able to find anybody else that does it the way they do it. They listen to me and they don't. That's what I love about it. It's like they're doing what they do and they're letting me do my thing. But wherever I'm going, they go with me.
Right.
And I have not found any other band that ever did that. From day one, they've always done that. When I open my mouth up, it was like I directed where the song's supposed to go with my, and I like that. It gives me that freedom, and playing bass is what I love to do, but they hold the fort out. They hold the fort down and make sense of everything. They make sense of my mess. Does that make any sense?
It does. It does. Because that's kind of what, that's the beauty of those great relationships. It's oh, well, here's one too. Look at this.
I can't see it, so
it's me. It says Wayward Sons, Dave Pritchard. He goes, Doug, you have been an influence on me, even though I play lead guitar.
Awesome. So, I've heard that band, Wayward Sons.
Oh yeah, that's Toby Jepson. I just interviewed him a week ago today.
Okay, because I think I found that on my title, and I was rocking out to it. It's good band, man.
Really good band. They've got their third album coming up.
Awesome.
I don't know the title of it yet.
Good luck, guys.
But they're amazing. Do you remember back at the time when you guys just started? There was a band from England touring over here called Little Angels. Have you ever?
I've heard of them too, and I think I had that record a long time ago, late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah, Little Angels, exactly. Yeah, they had 3 albums that came out. Started, I think it was '89 was "Don't Pray for Me," and then they had the one after that. They had 2 albums after that. Jam was the 3rd record.
Okay, I remember all those bands. I bought everybody's records and played them, but didn't get a chance too much because I was too busy. King's X was out there doing their thing, and we were getting all the hoopla and the hype. Yeah. And we were all, not full of ourselves, but just, it was like, wow. It was like all of a sudden everybody's going, the next big thing, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden the whirlwind happened. And, for me, I lost myself in there. I didn't know where, I went into a hole and I remember the day we got signed. And I remember as soon as, not the day we got signed, but the day Johnny Zazula comes backstage and says, you got to sign it. We've got to sign you. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, no, now we got to go out into the real world. And I got to go up against everything that I've been listening to and I love. And so, and I still feel that way. At 70 years old, I still... have that little boy feeling of I'm still trying to prove, I'm still trying to catch up with my big brother,
Right. Right. That bigger you that every other day except for that day. You're like, wait a minute. That's not him. Like that. Somebody's got a quick question here too. Born Distracted is wondering what's the pros and cons to being an opening act and a headlining. Is it different today than it was?
Yes. Well, I don't know. All I can say is from experience and what I've ever done was opening has always been, unless it's a double bill, or even if it is a double bill, if you're opening, you always feel like you're the underdog. You always know that you're going to play in front of some hostile people. And it's never fun because you're not treated the way you are when you're the headliner. In ways that you're the opening band, you get on stage and do your sound check when the band is done. If the doors are opening, you have to stop now. You got to, and most of the time you got to throw and go. You just throw it up there and start playing. And people say, "Oh, those are the dudes." That's bullshit. Bands can let other bands have a little bit and try to get their shit together. That's fucking bullshit. Yeah. That, they talk about initiation. If you can get through that, fuck them all when they say that. But anyway, I'm sorry I went off on that.
That's all right.
Because we opened for Billy Squier, man, and we never got to open. He did a sound check up till the doors opened. When the doors opened, we sat up, and then Blue Murder sat up behind us, and Blue Murder behind us, and we sat up in front of them. We couldn't move a thing. There were times when my feet were at the monitor and my rig was at my butt, and a mic sitting there, and we played, and we walked down and said, "Fuck him, we're gonna kill him," and we played our hardest, But I don't like that stuff. But anyway, where is my point? I was trying to make a point about
the pros and cons of opening and
pros and cons. Yes, about opening and headlining. Now, the other thing though is if you are badass and you walk on stage and you open for a band and you get a fucking standing ovation, or you get the crowd going crazy on you, and then they're leaving when the main act comes on, that is the best fucking feeling in the world. It really is. And we've done that in several situations. I didn't feel I felt bad for the band that had to go on after us, but it's a good feeling. I mean, why wouldn't it be?
Right. Right.
Or if you're equal, you feel like we kicked ass and the crowd went nuts, and then the next band came on and they went nuts, and everybody was happy. Right. And you get a good feeling about that. But usually when you open for someone, you're opening for a handful of people. If it's an arena, there's hardly anybody. If it's a place where there's no seats, people will be in there if there's nowhere else to go, if there's no mezzanine where they can hang out. So don't expect everybody to be there. And when we opened for AC/DC, maybe there was 1,000 people that saw us in a 15,000 seater. But I tell you what, we walked off stage, and within 15 minutes, 20 minutes, when AC/DC came on, the place was full, and they were rocking. I don't know where those people came from. That's the way it happened every night in America.
My God.
In Europe, it was different. I mean, yeah, we got to open for AC/DC, and it was the Rolls Royce, and it was great. We got to know the guys, hang out, all kinds of stuff. But as for playing in front of people, there was nobody. And our first record came out. It was like we weren't even on MTV, really. So, how can you expect it? But so opening up and opening for bands, it's a different. Everyone is different. Every band is different. Every protocol is different. But one thing you should do is kiss their ass and do what they tell you, because you never know what good can come from it.
That's right.
You never know. It's true.
Yeah.
And so closing shows, I like to close a King's X show. I don't like to close a festival, because festivals, there's always another band that has a bigger crowd. And when King's X comes on, the faithful are there, losing their minds, but the rest of them, we're gone. I remember going to see. It was in Houston. It was the Buzz Fest. You know, in all the '90s, and all those bands are. There's so many of them, great bands. I remember I went down to hang out, and I always used to go. I used to just walk in the back door. I'm Doug, the local residents, and just hang out with every band that came in town. It was awesome. And I remember watching all these bands play, and then Foo Fighters came on, and they destroyed the place. And then there was a band that came on after, and I forgot the name of the band, but there was about 50 people in the audience. And I went home, and I just thought, wow, that hurts.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest, and also when King's X goes out to play, if we have an opportunity, and if there's a discrepancy between who should open, who should close, or who's playing, I'll go, let us open. Let us open, because I don't want to close. I just don't like closing shows that are this even thing. I want to go out there and destroy everybody and have the next band come on and have to deal with it. And that's what we all want. Isn't it true? Am I being honest? Okay, you don't want to go, I'm going to be nice because I don't want to blow them away. No, you want to blow the fucking band away that's coming on to show the crowd that, look, fuck, we're here. And so, yeah. And when we've done that, it's been like, and when we haven't, it's been bands like AC/DC and Scorpions and Ronnie James Dio. So we go, we're not even going to worry about that. We played those records when we were kids, so we're not worried about that.
Yeah.
It's you know what I'm saying. It's just good. It's good feeling to be that way. And it spoils you also, because sometimes it's not good to be told you're great, great, great all the time. Sometimes you need to hear the shit. Sometimes you need to know your shit does stink. And usually when I hear those comments or read those comments, almost 99% of them, I go, he's right. I mean, people come on and whip them, go, dude, I can't believe you said that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, but I'm looking back going, I'm not going to say anything, but, he was kind of right about that. It just doesn't sound like something that you would want somebody to say, but I ain't going to disagree.
Yeah, because everybody's got opinions. It can affect or not affect.
Oh, I remember people are saying, like, we didn't put a whole lot into Manic Moonlight. And I go, we didn't. we got some really good songs out of that record, I think. Some really good stuff. But there was some stuff that we just went, okay, let's just vamp it out and leave it, Right. We just didn't have. We were so defeated. We were putting records out that nobody was buying. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to. We just thought maybe we should break up, and we just didn't have any. The heart that we had, we put in that record. And funny thing is, some of the songs that we feel like Skeptical wins, I'm thinking, God, that is the stupidest song in the world. And other people go, man, that's my favorite. I pulled it out one day, maybe a year ago, and I played it, and I'm going, well, damn, if I wasn't so close to it, that's a fun song. It just goes on and on. You get up and dance in the groove, and it doesn't stop. And I love the lyrics because me and Ty just made lyrics up on that song. We just kept throwing things in lines and rapping things, and we were having so much fun. And and there was this one line that I said that Ty loved so much that every time we got to the chorus, he just kept telling me, just do that line again. And that was the hit, But we had fun doing it. So it might have appeared that we didn't care, but we did. Yeah. It wasn't our best effort. We know that, but we did give everything we could at the moment. And so I always have to say things like that to people. Go, yeah, you're right. Or Mr. Bulbous. People didn't know what to do with that. I remember when we made that record, we were at a place where we were going, okay, really nothing's happening with us anymore, and we got to make a record because we got to do this. Yeah. Ty said, what do we do? And I'm going, why don't we just take our drop B guitars and write a whole record in drop A and make up the most fucked up progressions as we can.
Absolutely.
And we go, well, let's try that. You know, we wrote Julia. And it was so much fun getting done with Julia that I remember at that point we were all hyped up and we just kept those guitars and kept going and started writing some cool songs I thought came out of there, you know. Even what was it that Jerry does the spoken word in the middle of? We had so much fun. It's going. I remember. I think Ty said, "Jerry, you write a lot, man. In this part right here, why don't you just read one of your writings?" And he goes, "Oh man, I got some stuff at home, you know." And we worked on that record. We wrote all the songs together, almost all of it, except I think She's Gone Away. But everything we wrote together, which we don't usually do,
right.
It was a very, very special record for us, and it was really, really different. And we understand why people might not have liked it. And the bass was so loud, Jesus, dude, the bass. I remember going over to the house and said, "Ty, man, the low end and the bass is huge." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, okay."
Sure is.
Sure is. Oh, I remember making that record too. We had just got off the road. And Ty had got one of those pods, you know, those little round kind of oval shaped pods that you play guitar through. He stuck it on top of his studio board and turned it on and plugged into it. And I got my SVP preamp and plugged straight into it and plugged the preamp into the board.
Yeah.
And we made that record. And the sounds on that record, I love the guitar sounds and the bass sounds because they were like used with the most ridiculous shit you ever heard, and neither one of us had changed our guitar strings after we got off the road. And I remember
Lord.
in the middle of the sessions, Ty said, "Man, we haven't changed our strings." And I go, "No, we haven't." He goes, "Sounds pretty good." I go, "Yeah, okay, well, let's just keep going." And it was one of those just records where we just let it out the way it felt, and so it has that vibe. But that's the thing about King's X is every one of our records is so kind of different from the other. And you know, we don't do that on purpose. We really, really, really don't. We've never tried to do that on purpose. We just, wherever we're at, whatever we're playing through, and whatever we're doing is what you're going to get.
Interesting.
It's pure honesty to a fault.
Well, and I think about that flow and things when I think about talking. That's one of the reasons that I love talking to musicians, because I've always gotten it. So what are you drinking today?
The bottle is empty.
Oh, what were you drinking today?
Well, can you see it? Oops.
Yeah, kind of. There you go. Della, move it over a little bit. There. It's a Tuscan. You were good. Keep going. Tuscan red.
Okay. I like red. I don't know anything about wine. I hate alcohol. I don't like wine a lot. I like the way it makes me feel.
Gotcha.
But I never liked the taste of alcohol. I drink because I like the way it feels. And
yeah, me too.
But I have stopped actually drinking regular alcohol, and I'm just drinking wine now. I've been reading up on alcohol and the good and the bad about it. Right. And you know, I just go. And the thing is, I really don't care. If it's not there, I ain't going to drink it. The only time I drink is if I go out or you got it. Right. I'll drink. But if not, I'm not going to do it in the house. I don't have a cocktail every night or anything like that. I never ever did. But I have been known to get pretty fucked up. And I'm still embarrassed about that.
I'd hazard a guess to how few people truly have not.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's a large majority. Let's see man, I really sometimes I do this. I don't finish sentences. I put about three of them together, and it sounds really stupid. So, but I really appreciate you going through those records like that, because one thing I have learned over the years, when I don't get a song by an artist or an album, because as a listener, you get through this stuff and you're like, okay, that's what we're getting today. Okay. But sometimes if you just have a conversation with the artist about those records, then it kind of gives them an understanding of, that's an interesting view. I'll take that view, like you were saying earlier.
And you still can hate it, but at least you know why now.
Right. Well, you know, and I remember Boston came out with a new record years ago.
Yeah.
And it had a ballad on it. And I'm like, oh God, we're going to start with another ballad again.
Mm-hmm.
But then I heard an interview with him and he said, yeah, I wrote that. It's kind of about me and my son. And I'm like, oh, well, my son's kind of young. Okay. You know, then I'm okay with this song because I get an understanding.
That's the thing. You have to leave it to everybody else. It's like everybody doesn't like as much salt as you do in your on your hamburger, and that's just the way it is. First Boston album I thought was the most amazing thing I ever heard in my life, and I have a live bootleg of Boston. And when that first record came out, a live bootleg, and it is probably one of my favorite bootlegs. I have it on hard drive. It is amazing. It's got the sound of those guitars, that Rockman that he used. You can hear the stereo and that swirling thing. But Brad Delp, he's the singer, right?
Yes.
Oh my God. That guy sang like a black Aretha Franklin. He, on the record, he kept everything simple and straight. It was pop music, but live, the riffs and the yelling and the wailing he did, I could not believe how great that guy was. I could not believe it. It was like, this man knows what he's doing. He was a Paul Rogers what's his name? Jesus, one of my favorite singers. I never can remember his name. Played with Foreigner.
Lou Gramm.
Lou Gramm, yeah.
Yeah,
those are.
I know.
Lou Gramm and Paul Rogers. We're around the same age. I remember when those records started coming out, I would sit in my house and sing note for note. I had to learn those guys' riffs. Oh, dude, Cold as Ice, dude. Lou Gramm is probably one of the greatest singers I've ever heard in my life. His phrasing, his simplicity, and his overpronunciation. That was the first record I ever heard where you did not misunderstand a word he said. Right. And because of him, I overpronunciated my words the best I could in records so that would happen. I don't know if I do that now, but back then I'd made a conscious effort of it, you know. Oh, man. I know that those records backwards and forwards. The All Right Now record and Foreigner's first album. I can sing those two records backwards for you.
That the Foreigner stuff. You know, when I think about like the Def Leppard story where they're talking about Mutt Lange working with, you know, Joe Elliott to get that little higher because he wasn't doing that yet. And but when you think about who was he? I mean, I know Lou was in Black Sheep, and he did some of that styling in Black Sheep, and immediately was over into Foreigner, and then putting out, like you're saying, these stellar. He got more stellar all the way up to 4, and even Inside Information, I think, is one amazing album.
And you know, live, I saw them twice live, and both times he lost his voice by the first song. And you know, and I understood, because what he's doing, he can't. It's kind of hard to, unless you're like Kelly Clarkson, you know, where she just opens her mouth up and it's like, do you ever get tired? Or what's the other one? There's a black chick. What's her name? I always forget her name now, but Voulez-vous shake Patti LaBelle. Yeah, that's another one. She can just open her mouth up, and 10 years later, she's still at the same volume, same level, and she ain't slowed down. It's somebody else is like that too. My boy, Glenn Hughes. Glenn Hughes still sings like he's 12. Oh God! And he mops the floor up every time. You know, every time we play in LA and stuff, or whenever I do whenever I do like a thing where a lot of people get up and sing and stuff,
Yeah, big jam night.
I always feel like I get up and I just fucking, I want to get up and just mop the floor. That's what I want to do. And sometimes I've been told I did that, but when Glenn Hughes is around,
Ooh.
man, I stand out in the audience and watch him, and I just go, "Fuck you, man! You just fucking walk all over us." He would always overdo everybody else. He would just, no matter where you brought it, he'd come on and take it a little higher. I'm going,
And why? Because he can.
He can, and I will not go on after him. No, not Glenn Hughes.
Not to mention, he does everything. He goes from metal to R&B.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I can too, but he's more consistent. He's still better.
Okay, let's see. We'll just get this worked out. We'll get Glenn on the show.
I would love to hang out and be on the show with him. That would be fun.
Okay, well, I'll write that down. I'm going to talk to him about that.
It's been a while. Tell him I said hi too.
I will do that. Well, we've been on for a while here. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm drinking wine.
You good on time?
Yeah, I'm good. Okay. If everybody else is bored, any clicks yet? Anybody going by? Done.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But here's a.
Are we still on the thing about? Oh, go ahead.
No, we're out of the lightning round.
Oh, we're out.
Yeah, we've been out. Yeah,
you did pretty good. Know it. I didn't know. You did pretty good. Okay. Question. I hear you.
Have you ever considered doing a double bass solo with Stu for one track?
No.
No. You don't want to do that with me.
Well. Here's the deal. I'm not a bass soloist, and I really detest bass solos. And
really,
and I think, and for me personally, I don't understand two basses going at the same time. Now, I have to say one thing.
Spinal Tap.
Nope. Well, with that, but Robbie Robb from Tribe After Tribe, he put a record out, and me and Jeff Ament played bass on this record. And it's called Pearls Before Swine. And there are a few songs that both Jeff and I were playing bass. He was playing upright, doing slides high, and I was playing low like I do. And I actually tuned down lower than the band was, actually. And it gave it a really neat thing. And one time I saw The Cure, a video of The Cure live, and both guys, what's his names? Anyway, guitar player and bass player both had basses, and they were playing this song, and I didn't even know it was two basses until I saw it. So I'm not saying that I don't like it or that it's something wrong. It's just something that I don't feel too comfortable with. Or no. I shouldn't say feel comfortable with. I don't see the purpose. Gotcha. That's where I am. I just feel like 20 guitars, yes, fine. Two basses, just the low end. Just there's so much you gotta. I mean, I did a clinic with Billy Sheehan, a couple of clinics with Billy Sheehan actually, and we both talked about bass, and both of us are complete opposites from each other, but we're both big fans of each other. So we talked about each other and what we saw and loved about each other. Then we did a jam. And what we basically did was what we do. I stayed on the groove and stayed there. And he did all his stuff on top. And we played for about 5 minutes, and it was a lot of fun. I guess if you're going to do two basses, both bass players need to know how to make it work.
Right.
You just, and I've seen a couple places where when you got two bass players playing on an E string, but you're both playing different notes, you just got a mud fest.
No doubt. I remember the first band I was in was at a church, and at one point there was somebody else who was going to play bass, and I'm like, I don't think I want to do that.
I'll sit down. I tell you, first time I ever played bass in church. I didn't play bass in church very long. I was I remember that I put my amp on stage and the choir started playing. The Black Gospel Church, so it was rocking. But I remember the keyboard player played pedal bass anyway. So
yeah, there you go.
So I'm going, well, what am I supposed to play? and I tried to play with him, but he would do his thing, and he would ad lib and do things, and I'm going, well, I'm in the same frequency as you are, and we're fighting each other. So I actually I just stopped doing it. I said, nah, I won't play with the keyboard. And every time I played with the keyboard player from that point on, which hasn't been in a long time, but back in the day, I always used to, first thing I say is, do you play bass with your left hand? And
yeah, right.
No. They go, no, man, it's rock and roll. I'm going, thank you.
Thanks for clearing that up before we get started.
I had to say something.
You got to know. You got to know.
Like I tell every drummer, I say, don't listen to me because I'll drag you down. I said, you put you lock into it, because I play up, behind, around you, because I'm singing and I ain't paying attention. And if you're listening to me, you won't know where the one is. Is
that the true Nat attack in the studio?
That's true. That's true. Jerry can't be in. I can't be in Jerry's monitor because I will throw him off. Off so bad that he has a hard time. Take me out of there and he's fucking immaculate. Him and Ty are like machines. But don't put me in there so they can hear me. I'm a big rumble to Ty and Jerry. I just throw them off, but I love it because they are the magic, and I put my icing on top.
Yeah. As long as you don't mind me being the icing, we're fine.
Yep.
I'll be between the cake, down the sides of the cake, on the top.
Oh yeah.
I'll make you look good. This will be great.
Make you feel good.
Keep all arms and legs inside the ride at all times.
Yeah.
Well then, so what exactly? I'm going to ask you a few King's X things here. Okay. What is it when you guys started the band? What was your original vision of where you wanted to go? Did you have one?
I didn't have one because I didn't know what to expect. I do remember that before King's X started, I remember being, because I was a pretty insecure person and feeling the way I grew up, the abandonment kind of vibe that I had in my head. I remember hearing an Aerosmith song, and I think I was buying the record Toys in the Attic. And I was playing that record and rocking out to it, and something in my head said, if you do this, people will love you. And it wasn't that people will love me, but someone will love you. I felt like I wasn't loved. And it was a very misguided feeling, and I don't think it was. I look back now and go, wow, you play rock music because you hope that someone would look up at you and go, oh, he's a rock star, I love you, and come be my lover or whatever. That was it was a very romantic thing. But then after that, I just started playing rock bands and just doing what I did. And I always thought one day we'll be a big rock band, but I never thought anything other than those words. I didn't know how to do it, where to go, what to do, or how to write a good song. I didn't know. I didn't really have a lot of records. We didn't have but Circus Magazine and Rolling Stone. We didn't have internet. We didn't have anything. So basically, I just found musicians to play with. And when I moved to Missouri to join Petra, and they broke up and we never played, and then joined up with Phil Kagi and played with him for a bit, that was when I left left the Chicago area and decided there's no turning back now. And this is what I want to do. And as a Christian, I really had this belief that God wanted me to do this, and he had this plan for me, and he was going to make me rich and famous, and God was going to do all these things. Like, we're taught that God is going to bless you with everything that you ever wanted and beyond. And we've been preached that. I was preached that all my life, So I kind of believed it, and I thought, I just got to get up here and sing and make music, and it's going to happen. You know, I learned that that's not really the way it is. But so when I got to Springfield, Missouri, and you know, hooked up with Jerry, and then met Ty, I remember said we decided to be in a band, and I said, well, I believed at that time that God had told me that I was going to be in a band that should not be a Christian band, but be a band of Christians who went out into the world and played music and did what they did and be who you are, rather than be in a Christian world where you'd be judged and held accountable for things that are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So and that was in my mind, and I knew that there was this, and the reason I did that is because when I went out the last few times I played with Phil Kagi, we did a couple rock festivals, huge Christian, not rock festivals, Christian festivals, where some of the biggest acts, the Imperials, and those are like the huge, those are the big acts that were as big as like Jimmy Swaggart and Jim Baker. I mean that whole world. Well, I stepped into that sort of world, and I thought, oh my God, these are all Christians. They're believers. They love God. They're great people. I want to be like them. When I got in that world, I looked around and saw that they were just like everybody else. A bunch of egos, a bunch of people doing one thing and saying another, acting like they were one thing, and then behind closed doors, totally another. And I got so disgusted with it that I thought, I have spent my whole Christian life trying to be perfect like y'all told me I should be. And you looked down on me and you said, what are you doing? Why are you wearing an earring? Oh, you're gay. Oh my God, God's got it. And then I found out that all these people were just rotten as anybody else. And that's when I said, I'm going to go out into the regular world and make music, because at least I know people out there, a lot of people are bullshit, but maybe I'll find some truth and honesty out here. And so I kind of told that to Ty and Jerry in so many ways. I just said, God wants us to do this, I believe. And I said, and the name of the band is called The Edge. And they said, okay. Well, they actually went home and prayed about it. And then they said they felt that God wanted us to do it. And to this day, whether we believe God wanted us to do it or not, we do believe that something special happens between us, whatever it is. Some people can say it's God. Some people can say it's just energy. Some people can say it's just three people making music. I don't care, but it happens, right? And, and I'm not concerned about trying to figure it out. Why?
Right.
You know what's that gonna do?
Yeah.
It will just make you a character of yourself and become fake and phony. So it's, the Bible says, don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing, and that's pretty much my whole life. I just do what I do and look back, and if there's some good happening, I go, whoa, cool. And keep on looking forward. You don't look back and go, oh my God, look at me. Look what I did. It's like, what does that do? Does that make you feel any better? No. Who cares? You get on with your life. Life moves on. It never stops. Get it with the herd. Be a part of it and keep moving, Okay, I'm preaching now.
No, but
alcohol.
It's one of those moments where you're like, well, maybe I should quick edit that and we'll make that the end of our show.
You can do what you want to.
It was like that's kind of boom. That's it.
You can find some cool things out of all my babble. All my dribble.
We probably could write a song right here.
That wouldn't be hard.
What was the transition between going from Missouri, taking the band to Texas? Was there anything that was really tough about doing that, or were you all? No,
it was always tough, because when we started out, we're in Springfield, Missouri. I'm a black guy fronting a rock band that's doing new wave music. It's with a distorted guitar. So we were like really off center, because distortion in the 80s in new wave music was a no-no, but Ty kept his tone. He never changed it, and he was proud of it, and I'm glad he did. And me being black singing, she's just a girl, a girl you want, and it's like, what the fuck is all this?
I would love to hear that.
Roxanne, I'll send you a copy of Roxanne.
Please.
We did like 5 or 6 Police songs.
Oh man.
Oh, remember everybody's working for the weekend.
Oh yeah, man.
Okay, that song came on the radio in the morning in Springfield, Missouri. They said this is a new band and blah blah blah, and and I thought, well, I'm gonna tape this. Just push the button, recorded it. We learned it that night or that afternoon. Played it at a bar that night. And that was the only song that everybody came up to us going, oh my God, that is the most greatest song I ever heard. Everybody was freaking out. And we realized we didn't write that song and they didn't care about anything else that we were doing.
As we say, I wrote that song on the set list.
Yep. And also Every Step You Take by the Police.
Yes.
Same thing. They said Police, new song by the Police debut. We're gonna play it at 11 o'clock, and I turned my tape player on. We played it at the next night that night at another club, or maybe the same club, maybe in another time. But I mean, maybe a month later, but whatever it was. But everybody did the same thing. Everybody runs up freaking out about this song, and we're going, no, it's a Police song.
I think that's like when the Beatles, they came out with Sgt. Pepper and Jimi Hendrix was playing it like the next.
Yes, that's balls. So, I love Jimi Hendrix. Don't even get me on that. I love what I love about what we did back in the day. How everybody just copied everybody else because that's all you had. And you're the greatest. I mean, Jimi Hendrix. I cannot believe that Jimmy walked on stage and played Sgt. Pepper as a tribute. He walked on stage and went, y'all's new record's out, badass. Check this out. And it was sort of like defiantly respecting them.
Exactly. Yes. Oh, that just kills me. When you say that just reminds me of that. I'm just like,
can you believe the nerve of that? It's the nerve,
We should do a show on that, Doug. We'll do a show on the nerve of rock and roll.
The nerve. Well, like I watched. Remember the Cure? Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I watched the show one night. I accidentally was going to YouTube and I saw Deftones, which are one of my favorite bands in the whole world, and friends. They were doing a Cure song, and I didn't realize it was a Cure song. But it was like, whoa, this is a great song. And I watched the whole thing, and then I realized it was the Cure's, their inductory. Yeah. So, but you got to check it out. The Deftones doing a Cure song. Now that was like, to me, I got goosebumps. And those guys are just sitting there like, with their just bugging, like, they didn't have a reaction. And I'm wondering what they're thinking because it was amazing. I mean, and Chino, his favorite singer, he says, is Robert Smith. Wow. So, oh my God, the Deftones doing a Cure song.
Well, yeah, that's something that I need to talk about sometime. I mean, because if you heard, there's bands out there like Jaded Heart that covered Easy Lover. Mm-hmm. They did a great version of that.
Well, I'd like to hear that, though.
Yeah, oh, you do, because it's almost like you zipped back to the Stormbringer album by Deep Purple and covered that song with updated tech and great mixing. Because the album, that's I've forgotten what the name of the album is, but those through some of those new hard rock bands, that new wave of classic rock, the production is way up and it's really, really good.
I've been just starting to get into those the classic kind of rock bands. It's like really cool. Like I'm going, what were you guys doing? You're just kids.
Yeah.
Where do you learn this stuff from? Crowbot and not Crowbot. What's the name of it? Anyway, there's so many bands going through my head right now. But anyway,
that's the way it happens with me too. It's like, wait a minute. And I don't think it's that we're getting older. I think it's just as we get older, there's more stuff that goes in, and
I believe it's a combination of both because there's so much information now that I can barely answer a question with a yes or no because I want to tell you the whole history of why I'm saying yes or no. And to some people, it's really interesting, and I think it's interesting. But some people, it's just fucking boring. So
Oh no.
I have to be careful.
To me, I love it. It's the key that's within the conversation that happens. And that's why this show is not just, hey, what music is it, or what was this or that. It's if there's something else strikes you, that's I remember when we found out Dan Rather was going to do rock and roll interviews.
Wow.
Right. And it started years ago, but Eddie Trunk covered. He goes, I thought at first, he goes, why the hell would somebody want Dan Rather interviewing rock bands?
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, you know what, though? I got to thinking about it. And he said, I started realizing that he's going to ask questions that I wouldn't even think to ask.
Yeah.
And some of them aren't about music, because I just sit there going, okay, so at the end of Cygnus X1, there's this thing, know.
But so, one thing about interviewers that I don't like is when they don't know your music.
Right.
Because I feel like, why are you interviewing me? You haven't done your homework in a way that I want to give you the respect. You can give me numbers. You can say, well, I read that so-and-so, this happened, and this, and you blah, 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 blah. And that's all fine and dandy. But is there a song that moved you? What did it do to you inside? That's why I want to know. I don't give a fuck about the rest of that stuff. I don't. I never did, even though I do, because numbers make money.
I know.
But at the end of the day, it's all about how did you feel? How did I make you feel? Because if I made you feel bad, I have a hard time sleeping at night. If I made you feel good, it makes me feel like I can get through another day and I'm okay.
Right. Yes. That's cool. That is cool. Yeah, I had a thought and I've lost it now. But
that's okay. I have many thoughts.
But anyway, also let me see. I wanted to just ask about, let's move on to your string of albums through all these years.
Oh God.
And my main question about that is, do you ever think of, when you think of your catalog, and again, I appreciate you mentioning that about some of the other albums that were a little different for me. But when you think about them, do you think of them as a stream of music, or do you look at it as parts? Are you like, okay, it's from here to here, and then we did from here to here, and then? Oh
yeah, I mean every record that I've ever done, because I write lyrics for most of this stuff, that side projects and stuff like that. It's all about where I'm at the moment, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and how and what's going on. Really, that what I see around me. It's always been that way. A lot of times I'll just say, Doug, lighten up and write something that's just fun, that you can just dance and have a good time. So I'll go shallow and try to come up with something that's profound but shallow. I try to do something. I've got this new song on my new record that's coming out soon, and in the first verse is fighting over who's the best master, like sheep being led. No, like sheep being bled at the altar.
Interesting.
That's the whole mind is like, oh my God. And the chorus is, but right now, gonna have a party. I can't wait to tell everyone. Gonna have a party. I can't wait to see you. Gonna have a party. And I'm gonna tell everyone. Gonna have a party. Yeah, I get to see you. And the second verse is 1% of 1%, they tell me, could feed the whole world and become the master king. But right now, gonna have a party. It's like I'm just trying to fucking keep it going without just getting boring.
Well, yeah, because again, I mean, you've been doing this for a couple of days.
Yeah. And I keep telling people, I don't know what I have said so much. I got a lyric in one of my songs where I want to say what's in my head, but everything it has been said. I want to give up but I'm not ready yet. My energy is gone. I forget and forget. Nobody's perfect, but I think I am. My life is illusion. My head's in the sand. I feel like howling like a wolf. That's,
Oh,
my new record, I'm excited about it. I got some lyrics that I just dug down into me and said, pandemic, how you feeling?
yeah. As if you just pull up a chair in front of Pandemic
uh,
and just start going at it.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Sorry about
then
throwing all those lyrics at you.
I love it. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. That's what it's about. So throughout that listing of all the albums, do you have some key ones that just really you are near and dear to your heart, or just something that you still have a really good flavor for over others?
No, they're all like having kids, Some are
Mm-hmm.
retarded and some are like gods. So I go, that record sucked. That record wasn't a bad record. That was an okay record. There were some good songs on that one. And then I go, and that's pretty
Oh,
much, it's sort of like looking at pictures of yourself.
oh,
I
right.
mean, who looks at a picture of themselves and go, oh my God, that was
Yay.
bad. Oh, I
Yeah.
can't
I
wait to
gotta have
show
6 of
that one.
those.
Yeah, it's like you just don't. So listening to my music back is the same. It's the same thing. All I
Yeah.
hear is what I shoulda, and couldn't. Like my mom said before she died, she's here I am sitting in this chair thinking about what I coulda and shouldn't and coulda and shouldn't done. So why am I thinking of stuff like that? And she was upset because she had finally gotten bedridden and she started thinking about past. And I'm going, yeah, we don't need to worry about what we could have done.
Right.
What can you do now? So, but still, I listen. Well, when I listen to my, I've been pulling out a lot of my old stuff now because I'm 70 years old and that shit
Mm-hmm.
was written 30, 40, it may be longer years
Right.
ago. And I sit and listen to it. And the only thing that I can say is, wow, you really were working your ass off and you were really giving everything that you had. And you came up with some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Too bad the world didn't appreciate it, and that's the way it is. But you can still keep doing this, and you're okay. And that's the good thing about it is like
Yeah.
no one has ever in my life said, you need to not do this because it ain't working. No one's ever done that to me.
Right.
So, so I'm happy about that. And I feel like, well, if nobody's told me that I shouldn't be doing this, then why should I be feeling like I shouldn't or beat myself up over it or retire?
Right.
It's like, why should I not write it? Sometimes I think, the new King's X record, we go, this might be the last record we ever do. Well, it's not going to be the last record we ever do, but it could be
Yeah.
because we're getting old. So, and also life looks different to me now since I turned 70. And one of the big things is because a lot of people my age are dying. Some of my friends and relatives are dying. They're my age or a little bit younger, maybe a little older, but they're
Mm-hmm.
going. And so that kind of, and I don't care if maybe my longevity may be longer or maybe I'm healthier or whatever. It's death. It's the
Right.
reality of it. It ain't like when I was 30, death, what's that? Let's go have some fun. Now
Right.
it's like, wow, you better get your will together because, you can make it to 100, you can make it to 110, but
That's
on
my
the
goal.
me too, and I have relatives that have done that, so I believe I'm going to do that. But
Yeah.
I always think, but how quick did you get to 70? And I'm going,
Yeah.
so you better hang on.
Yeah.
My mom said to me, she said, Doug, you think it's going fast now? Wait till you get my age. And she died at 89, and she said it was flying at that point. I need to call my Aunt Martha up. She's 102 now. See how fast it's going for her. Because think about that. She goes to bed at night and says, well, I'm going to go to bed now. I'll see you in the morning or I won't. And she laughs.
50-50.
And she laughs and goes to bed, I'm going, that's beautiful,
It
She
is.
she grew up a believer all her life, a
Yeah.
good Christian, a loving, kind person. Never had a bad thing to say about anybody. She never drank. She
That's
never smoked. She never had kids. She never really had stress. Um, she was married once. He died. She got married again, but she never had never had any kids or any of that kind of the things that we go through. And I think that stress will kill you. Stress takes a lot out of you. Having kids, being married, having to struggle. I don't think she had to struggle hard in her life. Not to say that she didn't, because I don't know her story. For all I know, she could have been struggle harder than anybody that I know. But I'm just saying that I think that if you alleviate a lot of stress in your life and drama, you can live longer and healthier.
Yeah. I know that I just went to the doctor recently about something, and he was like, well, I've got concerns that this might be the situation. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, aren't you upset or anything? I'm like, what? Why? I can't do anything about it. That's why you're here, isn't it? You're the doctor. You're supposed to tell me we got this. Don't worry about it. You know, you're like what the? And then nothing was wrong. We did tests and there was no problems. It was just so silly. I was like, and I looked at him exactly what you said. I looked him right in the eye. And I go, plus stress will kill you.
Yeah, that's what it'll do. It will kill you.
So what do I want to go sooner or no? I don't.
The doctors, they freaked me out. I remember when I was about 19. No, I was about 17 or 18 years old. I went to the doctor. I had all these black spots all over me.
Oh, wow.
Just out of nowhere. Went to the doctor. The doctor took a blood test, said I had syphilis. I had never did anything with anybody. Back in the day, I was dumb. And my cousin was like freaking out, going, you got syphilis, you're going to die. The next day, it was gone.
Yeah.
I'm going, what the hell happened? One time, back in around 2000, I went to the doctor, and she took my blood test, and she calls me, and she says, Doug, do you have any people in your family that has sickle cell anemia? And I go, no. And she said, because if you have sickle cell anemia, you die by the time you're 16. And she said, your white corpuscle or your white corpuscles in your blood are oval shaped. She said they're supposed to be round. She said, come back in for some more testing. I never went back. She said to me, because you're not supposed to be alive. And I've had blood tests since then, and no one's ever said a thing. Go figure. I don't know. I don't. You know, I've come. A lot of things have happened in my body, and the doctors have diagnosed me with something, and then the next day it's gone. I have no idea. Maybe I was abducted when I was a child. Maybe they put something in me.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, I know.
That's the sucky part,
that's
right?
That's what I say every day. Who knows?
No, really, who knows? I'm serious.
Did that really happen to me? I go, I remember it as clear as day, but did that really happen? I don't know, but I tell you what, it was real to me, and it still is, you know.
Wow. That's pretty wild. Pretty wild. Well, now I can let you get rolling here, but I mean, I don't. I mean, if you got the time, I got the time.
I'm not the guy that say no until I'm just can't go on any longer. Or no, I'm the guy that when you get to the point where there's nothing else to talk about, it's like you go, okay.
Well, maybe that's part of it. Where I'm like, wait, we'll call it here after I ask you this.
Oh yeah, there's always part two.
But then we can do a part two. Because as I mentioned, my friend Mike LaPond was on the show, and he's coming back to actually talk about all the other things that he did outside of Symphony X.
Then we got part two.
Yeah, that'd be great. Then I will ask you this though. Yes. What's going on then for the new record? I know when you were doing recordings in 2019, and then.
What happened was we got the deal, we got everything happening, we went in to make the record, then something happened in the deal with the record company, and we had to change record companies basically, and go through the whole rigmarole. Everything had to stop for a while. We had to deal with things, so that slowed everything down to a halt. So we just got to go ahead, and Michael started mixing a month ago. So we've
Okay.
got like about I think about 6 songs mixed now. I'm like going, yeah, I can't wait till people hear them. We just sent the music, those songs, to the record company so they could start gearing up and
Gotcha.
get their heads around it, how they want to promote it, do their
Okay.
thing. So, and it's still going to take a few months. And in the meantime, my record's done, mastered. Joe just sent
Wow.
me the album cover artwork, and
Wow.
I did half the video of the first song so far a couple days ago. And Ty's got a solo record. It's finished. I love it. It's really good. When I first got it, I played it every day for about a week. It was like, and it's, that's to say something, because we're brothers. We don't listen to
Right.
each other's music that much. We've wowed each other back in the day. We don't wow each other now. And this record for me is like, wow, it's a really, really good record, Ty. Great.
Wow.
Yeah. And so our 2 records are coming out. I guess Jerry's, but I don't know what's happening right now. And in the
Gotcha.
meantime, and our records, I think, I know mine is, it's going to come out before King's X. I hope it
Okay.
doesn't make people mad, but we want to get our solo stuff out before King's X just to get it out of the way.
Gotcha.
So here's the dessert, guys. Enjoy. Main course is coming, and when the main course comes, we will focus all of our attention on it, and we'll get out there and we'll give you our all in the meantime. So that's what's going on right now with this, and I'm
Very-
excited. I can't wait till my record comes out. I am so excited about it. I really am.
And do you have any dates that you're planning so far?
Live or Doug
Yeah.
Pinnick shows now. No. It's
Okay.
when I do a solo tour, it never turns out very well
Okay.
monetarily. I
Gotcha.
always end up losing everything in
Oh,
my savings account.
oh crap.
I toured twice, and both times I got shit on
Yeah.
and duped by people that I thought I trusted, and
Yeah.
they fucked me over, and they all got their money. They did.
Yeah.
They won't admit it, and they don't say anything to me about it, but they got their money, and I will never work with any of them again.
Yeah.
And that's why I am. I don't work with anybody if they fuck me over. I don't work with them again. I don't tell them what they did. What goes around comes around. I just won't work with you again.
Right. Right.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Wow. And then when will you guys start negotiating any tours for King's X? Because I'm sure there's.
I hear we got shows coming up because
Okay, so
people
you
are
already
texting
have
me
some
going,
listed.
"I got my ticket." And I'm going, "Really? I didn't know. I
So
didn't know we were playing."
be sure and get out there and check out what their tour dates are.
I just trust the management. I'm gonna go get my COVID shot ASAP. I'm gonna go do it, and so get on with my life. I
Right.
hear that I wasn't gonna get it because I've never had a vaccine in my life. We were poor. You had to pay for it back in the 50s.
Oh
Nobody
yeah.
paid for mine, so
Yeah.
I've never had a vaccination for anything in my life. And
Wow.
I really don't plan on it ever doing it. Why? At this
No.
point, I'm more healthier than most people at 70. But
Right. Right.
the thing is, legally, you probably won't be able to do anything if you can't prove you got COVID test or
Right.
got the vaccine. I
Well,
can't
and
go to,
that's.
if it wasn't for the fans, I would not get it. But if
Yep.
I want to go play for people, I'm gonna have to get it, and
Right.
I'm fine with it. And
Right.
what I love about the vaccine is it's not your normal vaccine. This is nanotechnology. This is a whole nother thing. They're not putting the virus in you. They're putting a genetic code in you to tell you to ramp up for it.
Mm.
That's something new, and I like that. A lot of people are scared about it because they think that nanotechnology and DNA splicing and all that shit is gonna screw everything up. But here's the news flash: they've been doing that to us since we appeared on this earth. I believe that we've been genetically altered from that period where all of a sudden man just pops up.
Yeah.
He's talking, he's making music, he's plowing, he's growing things, he's knows astrology, he's made up time, and he can, you know, You know, it has a lot to do, I believe, with genetic alteration. I believe, they genetically altered us to be who we are. And they made Frankensteins, and we'll never change. They made Frankensteins. We are what we are. We are our worst enemy. We can be the best and our worst. And we cannot control it. And they've been trying to control us. People have been trying to control us. The powers that be have been trying to control us with religion, with laws, with morality, with restrainment, with threats of hell and death and destruction. But they cannot control us. They've never been able to do that because who we are is our worst enemy. We are. We're not gonna. People walk around all the time going, "Why can't we?" And I go, because they won't. They're not going to. It's not who they are. Why can't they? They can't. It's not that they can. They can't. It's our nature. We are territorial. We stand. We do the things that we do are what we do naturally, and we've been trying to change what we do naturally for zillions of years, and not once have we changed. Other than we've gotten more information, we've got more technology, but we have not been able to feed the world or save anyone from themselves, because we are Adamic at nature, and it never changes. And I wish people would stop crying about why don't they accept it and do your best to rise above it and take those who are not a part of it with you.
Right.
That's what you do. Ain't nobody going to change this world. It's fucked. It's never going to change. And I always say the only way you can change the world is make the severest laws that you can come up with. Severest. Think about that. Think about that. That's the only way you can control people. And there are religions that do that. They're so severe that you cannot go outside your path.
Yeah.
A religion that just stones a woman, kills her because she's pregnant out of wedlock. Severe control. That is the only way that humans can be controlled.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that should be, but I'm just saying that answers your question. So stop fucking freaking out about it and just get in your corner and try to make your little world perfect. That's the best you can do.
Well, right. And I mean, it's a huge issue. But again, it just goes back to if we can think about if whatever that is that can help us,
whatever it is
that can help us think about who that is next to us and how we can help them, which will help everybody. It starts to span out.
Think about it. How only people that if you can empathize with someone, then you can help them, and then you can change the world. Right. If you can't empathize with somebody, you're useless.
Right.
Completely useless. So you need to shut the fuck up. I hate it when people come up and tell me this and that and this and that somebody needs to do this. I go, have you walked in their shoes before?
Right.
Black Lives Matter or whatever it is that people have problems with, or whatever it is, New York bomber, whatever it is, do you know what brought them to that place? Do you understand? You just stand there and go, this is what they did, and you're going to judge them for it. You don't know. Why are we so hard on each other when it comes to tolerance? It's like, and tolerance is not let somebody do what they do even though it's bad. Tolerance is understanding why they do it and trying to help them understand why it's bad.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to me? Anyway, I'm going on.
The thing I always think about with that is the fact that people do make mistakes, but when I teach to my students, I work with students every day, and I try to tell them it's not what you've done, it's what you're gonna do about it.
Exactly what you're gonna do about it. And the thing that, to add to that, the thing that I always remember that when someone says is first impression is what a person will always remember you as. The first impression, always. So remember that, especially if you're a musician, because how many times have we destroyed a fan because we didn't give them the attention that we could have gave them. It wasn't that we couldn't. We could have. You know, I mean, there are some people that are impossible that, you know, I remember one time we were playing in Chicago at this club, and it was packed and it was pandemonium, and my mother couldn't get in. And someone said, Doug, my mom's at the door, I don't know what to do. And I couldn't find our manager. So I literally went down a corridor and stuck my head out and said, that's my mom, let her in. And all of a sudden, a whole bunch of people wanted my autograph. And I go, no, I got to go. A guy got pissed at me. You ain't got time for your fans? And I'm thinking, oh, my God, if I came out here and did this, it would be insane. I can't talk to him now. He didn't understand it. And I never forgot it. I never forget any time someone is offended or hurt by something. I never forget it. And even to this day, sometimes I think, I wish I could go back 50 years ago and just say, I'm sorry. I still think about it. You know, but on the other hand, maybe I could have handled it different because it was 89. I didn't know any better. I was just overwhelmed with all these people in this stuff that was being thrown at me. Maybe I could have stopped and go, hey, bro, you know, here, I'll sign it for you. Hey, everybody, I got to go play. I love you. And go. Right. You know, I could have been more diplomatic, but I didn't. But you learn, you know, and that's the thing about, I'm saying to musicians is be careful what you say to people and what you don't say. What you don't say matters even maybe more than what you say. One time I went to see a band play. A friend of mine took me, and I looked at him jokingly and said, I'll get you for this. They suck. And we went home. I ran into the bass player of the band that I went to see about 2 weeks later in the music store. Never met him before. He comes up and says, hey, Doug. He says, man, I was in so-and-so band. I heard you came to see us. And I go, oh, yeah. I said, so what's up with the band? He says, oh, I quit him. I go, why'd you quit? He goes, well, if Doug Pinnick says my band sucks, why should I be in it? You know, that band could have been the next biggest thing in the world. Oh, be careful what you say. Well, yeah. One time, a friend of mine, one of my best friends, started playing acoustic guitar. I was like 22 at the time. He was like 20. He was not good. And we were going to church, and he was trying to play worship songs. He was horrible. And back in my mind kept going, Douglas, why don't you tell this boy this is not what he should be doing. But I didn't. And a year and a half later, I came back to town and went to church service, and he was up front leading worship service, playing like somebody that was just the greatest. Yeah. And I put my head down and thought, you know, I'm glad I didn't say nothing to him. You know, careful what you say. Or one time I went to see a band play. The rhythm player was badass. He was so badass that I had to just let him know it. And I was looking for a rhythm player for my solo band at the time. I was getting ready to go on the road. And I was just so mesmerized by just this. He was like Malcolm from AC/DC. I mean, he was on it. He looked cool. Okay. So I'm just going on and on about him and the guitar player, the lead player standing next to me. Yeah. I'm going on and on about this rhythm player. And he looks at me and says, dude, what about me? I'm the lead player. And I thought, wow. It's like I was so excited about the rhythm player that I just went off right in front of the lead player. Be careful. You know, dude, I'm a loose cannon, man. I get excited about shit and I just go off and I realize I'm hurting someone else's feelings. Yeah. Oh, dude, I got a good story to tell you and then we can finish.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Okay. I had never met Chris Cornell at this time. Pearl Jam's first record was out. It was Lollapalooza. Okay. Jeff asked me to come on stage and sing "Rockin' in the Free World" with what's his face from Ministry, Al Jorgensen, Maynard, I think it was, and Chris Cornell. So I remember they set up one mic next to the drums, and the guy said, "This is your mic." And Chris came out, and me and him had this mic. And we stood there, and I says, "I love your voice." He says, "I love yours." We had never met. And the song starts. And all of a sudden, I had the second verse. I grabbed the mic, went up front of the crowd, and sang the second verse, and scattered all the way to the end of the goddamn song. And I never gave the mic back to Chris Cornell. I'll never forget that. It was the moment. I just went into it, and it was over. And I look back at it now and go, Douglas, what the fuck were you doing? I remember also that I don't know too many people who sing as loud as I do, just vocally, because I've been yelling all my life.
Right.
They grabbed me the mic and I started singing, and my voice was so loud in the monitors. I remember that everybody was pointing at the monitor guy, going pointing. I'll never forget that. And I've never ever mentioned that to Chris, because I mean we became friends after that, but I never ever mentioned that to him about how he. But that's why I was back in the day. It was like I was so much in the moment that I didn't pay attention. I remember the first real band I was in. I was the lead singer, and I remember we opened for REO Speedwagon. It was 1968. REO's first record had come out. It was at the Joliet Junior College, the college that I went to, and my band opened for them. We played in this auditorium. There was nobody in the auditorium when we started playing. Nobody. Okay, and literally there was no one. And we started playing, and I remember singing and doing the set and just doing my thing. And when we hit the last note, the crowd started yelling, and the place was full. I didn't see anybody come in.
You didn't.
Was so, dude, that was me back in the day. I didn't notice there was around me. It didn't matter. I was singing. I was doing what I did, and I was doing what I loved. That's what I always was, and that's why when people sit down and say, "Well, I was thinking of this and doing that, and I was planning on doing this," and I'm going, I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just like going for it. I never did. I mean, now I do. Now I think about things because I know better. But back in the day, there was no thought. You just went out there, you did what you did, and you did it because you liked it. It had nothing to do with anything else.
Do you? Because there's a lot of passion and a lot of, and obviously a lot of the catalog that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And is there ever a time when you're performing that the emotion gets almost too heavy?
No, never. It never does, because whatever the emotion was, I did it when I made the song. When I wrote the song, that's where the emotion came, and I put it into it, and I left it there. Live, I don't feel anything other than, am I hitting this note? Am I doing this right? Am I giving it to the people the way they need to hear it? And if they respond, then I go, I'm doing my job. Even though I go, man, I was flat there, I cracked there, I didn't hit that note too well. I had to ad lib and go there because I couldn't go there. I mean, that's what goes through my head. Oh, I missed that note. Oh, fuck, I fucked up. Oh, man, I spun around and tried to be cool and missed that note. I'm an idiot. I mean, that's what goes through my mind. And then all of a sudden I go, Douglas, lock in. What are you doing? Ty's doing his lead. What's up? I look over at Jerry and go, let's rock. And I'll turn around to him and just say, time to build the foundation for Ty. And I join the crowd. We rock out.
That's great.
That's what goes through my mind. It's like there's, one time, it's like whenever you hear me laugh on stage, it's because I fucked up and I'm laughing at myself. But people have told me when I messed up and laughed, they thought that I thought whatever it was that I just did was amazing, and it even moved me. And I've never once amazed myself. Not once have I wowed myself.
Did you ever think about looking at him and going,
not once? And I laughed.
No, you're right. It was that.
And I think, wow, it's kind of embarrassing because I'm thinking, I don't want people to think that I love myself that much that I'm enjoying myself. I have seen a rock musician, I won't mention names, but come on stage and play and go, oh my God, did you hear that? That was deep. That was amazing. And I'm going, I wish I could love what I do like you love what you do. I really do.
Yeah, no doubt.
I really wish I could, but we're all different.
Oh yeah.
And it's not people say I'm humble. It ain't I ain't humble. I'm not humble. Humble is realizing that you're not that great. Humble to me is you ain't good, and even if you acted like it, somebody's going to call you out. So you stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
think,
worse. It's worse being saying you suck. It's like the emperor with no clothes. You know that story. That
yeah.
is my favorite story in the whole world. You know why?
No.
Because the emperor he's so vain that his seamstress says he is so vain. Let me fuck with him,
Yeah.
sir. I'm gonna make a garment for you that is so amazing that you can't even see it, but the world will see it. It's so refined, but they will look at it and be amazed. And he believed that guy so much that that guy made him nothing and played like he put it on. And the king went out naked in front of all his subjects, and everybody worshiped him and praised him and said he looked great. And then that one little kid said, "Mommy, why is the king naked?" That's what I think in my mind. It's like, Douglas, don't think too much about yourself, because somebody's going to call you out and say, dude, you ain't shit. And I look for it, and I almost wait for it. And I do everything I can in my mind to not let that happen, so I can to try to be as right and direct and honest and true as I can.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't get me wrong. I've failed in many ways. I'm a piece of shit, like a whole lot of people. We all are in so many ways. I can be, but you know, it's just being aware of who you are and realizing that any drama that comes into your life, you are probably 50 to 90% of the reason why you have drama.
Well, it's often, like I say,
50, 50 to
50,
90.
yeah,
50
right.
to 90, nothing less.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's like I often say, drama needs a writer. Just don't write it, and you're good to go.
Yeah. And if you can't take criticism, then you're just the worst of all the worst.
Yeah,
All the worst. And
it's tough.
I've been there. I just
Well, you pointed back to something that reminded me of when I saw you guys the first time, and I think it's I hope I get this right. It's Pleiades, isn't it? Where where it has the drum solo that's right at the end. It's the drum rhythm that continues. And I asked him that night back in '89. I'm like, how do you do that? Is there a way that you keep yourself from not failing that rhythm that he's got going on the whole thing? And he's like, I just don't even think about it.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm thinking about what am I going to eat later or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's like, I don't think about it.
We don't. We have conversations in our head that no one knows about while we're playing.
Yeah.
You know, every now and then I'll say, Ty, what verse are we in? I lost track. You know?
I hate that.
But you know, it's not that we're having a conversation about something else in our lives.
Yes.
It's just that when you're playing, for some reason, other thoughts do come in our mind.
Yep.
I mean, there's, and I envy the musicians who can walk on stage and focus, and that's all they see, and that's all they know, and that's all that's in their head for that moment. Right. But when I walk on stage, there's a whole nother world in my mind going, and it's all about trying to keep my self-esteem up, trying to keep doing what I do, keep the stamina, keep keep giving, and especially when you feel like, oh man, I don't know if I can push. And you the adrenaline comes and you start pushing harder, and then all of a sudden you're giving something that you couldn't give before. Right. And all of a sudden something else is happening, and all of a sudden you're seeing people moving in a different way, and all of a sudden it's a physical, mental, emotional thing. It's not just emotions, but it's physical. It's like all of a sudden your leg is tired, or you spin around and all of a sudden your back hurts or something. Yep. You go, oh fuck. I better back up to my amp and lean in against for a while, see what's going on here. Okay, well, I shouldn't scream so hard at that point because that pushes my back and I'm getting old. These are the things that go through your mind.
Yes.
Wow. Or like the kid, the people down front, right in front of my rig going, I'm playing, I'm going, damn it. All they hear is me. So I better
Right.
be hitting these notes right.
I'm gonna be the worst thing about their night.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God. Because I mean, you know, when I went to every time I've seen the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I've stood right in front of Flea in front of his monitor every time.
Wow.
Every time. And I just stand there with my jaw on the ground going, this is ridiculous. This guy is so good. I didn't listen to the rest of the band. It was like, are you kidding me? Or Fishbone, you know, Norwood? Come on. Stand in front of Norwood and watch him playing Fishbone all night. And you'll just walk away going, you'll be pulling your hair out going, how does he do that?
Yeah. Right.
I remember we did a tour with Fishbone. And I remember I would always go watch him play, and I would always stand in front of him. Yeah. And I don't know why I did this, but as he's playing, everything he did, I would react to. And I would just go, oh. And I just look at him and go, you know, I just make face. I'm like, what are you fucking oh. And I just go, and I do these things to him, and he would just be cracking up laughing, but he'd be putting that shit down. I love doing that to people. I love going down front.
Well, it's almost like it's like the opposite side of musician face.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You know,
I remember Mr. Big. I went to see them, and I went down front to watch them.
Yeah.
And I stood right in front of
Billy.
No, not Billy.
Yeah.
Paul Gilbert.
Yeah, Paul
I stood
Gilbert.
in front of him. He blew my mind. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just the way he did. But I remember going backstage after the show, and they all said, dude, we were freaked out, man. You were down front. We could barely play. We didn't know what to do. And I'm going, I like that. You know, and when a band comes to town that I really, really like,
yes,
I go right down front and I stand right in front because I like them and I want to listen to them. I want to enjoy them like I'm a teenager, and I want to let them know that if they like King's X, I love what they do and I'm here. And just to say, hey, it's almost like a handshake. Instead of sitting in the VIP booth, you know, and with your little sticker on, I'm going to go down front and fight everybody and stand there and go, yeah, that's the shit.
Yeah, I've had many nights where I, was going to meet up with the band afterwards or whatnot, have the pass, but I'm right down front. I'm like, I got all this, but that's not, this is where I need to be.
I like to fuck with Tommy from Prong. Every time Prong plays, he amazes me. The way he puts the rhythm down so accurately and sings so accurately, he blows my mind. And I always stand right in front of his monitor and look up at him.
Well, that's not mean at all.
It's not mean. I'm appreciating him. I want to get it all,
I get it.
You know? It's like I'm being selfish here.
Yeah.
Man. And if they got to deal with it. I mean, because we've had lots of famous people come to see us play. Sure. And for me to see them out there, it makes me even step up to the plate more.
Right.
You know, not saying I'm going to blow you away or I'm better than you, but, oh, wow. Okay, this is somebody that I respect. Well, I'm gonna give you the respect by playing respectful and give you what you want to hear because you came to see me play. You like what I do. Fuck, I'm gonna give it to you then.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I've got a couple of local bass players that'll show up, and when they do, I'm like, wait, what do I do with this now?
Yeah, it's awesome. That's the great thing about being a musician. You know, there's so many levels, there's so many layers of enjoyment and communication and learning. Learning.
Yeah, and there has to be that forgiveness in there somewhere where whatever it is individually for you, like you go out and you see a bass player play a line that you play in another band, and they don't do it right the way the record. And there's a little signature something.
It kind of ticks me off. I said, you didn't spend the time to learn that. But I've done that. I haven't spent the time. And
really?
Too. Oh yeah, and I've been called out on it. But I do try real hard to find the nuance and everything. Phil Lynott, Hendrix. Yeah. I break them down, and try real hard. If somebody has me do a cover song of something like we did it's a Van Halen song called Light Up the Sky.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
remember I'm going, oh, David Lee Roth. Oh, he's an okay singer. I mean, he's a great. He's great. He's great at what he's David Lee Roth, but he
Right.
ain't good a singer. So I go get the record. I learn the song, and I get up there. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna go Doug. I start singing that, and it's like this ain't working. This ain't working at all. And I got in my car and got real stoned and drove all around town and listening to that one song and running it back to hear every little thing that David Lee
Yes.
Roth did.
Yes.
And he sings completely opposite from me. I had to learn him. I
Yeah.
did it. I nailed it. And I respect him for it now. I didn't have a lot of respect for him before. Now I go, this guy's a really great performer. And his singing, whether you like it or not, it's really top notch. And it's
Yeah.
really commercial and it's really good.
Right.
Um, and his phrasing and how he says things and how he
Yep.
speaks, half of it is speaking and not just notes. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to sit there and go, wow, I'm going to do him. And so I did. I did a Hendrix song like that too, Burning the Midnight Lamp back in the day. Eddie Kramer asked me to sing on that song
Yeah.
on a project that he did. And I took the record and went riding and did the same thing. I learned the nuances. You got
Mm-hmm.
to learn the nuances or else it doesn't work,
Right.
because it just makes it look like you didn't try.
Right.
Unless you're Paul Rogers. Now, Paul Rogers took Queen and went out
Yeah.
there and did Queen songs and did them like Paul Rogers,
Right.
and I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
There are a few singers that can do that, can sing
Right.
the telephone book, but he was one of them. But at the end of the day, it's very important, I think, to at least find their nuances and find what made them great.
Right.
You can sing a song, you can do a Stevie Wonder song. I've seen so many people sing Stevie Wonder songs, but you don't get the little things that made him Stevie Wonder. Those
Right.
little things, well, that's what you should be learning, not this generic lick. But give
Right.
me there's a song called Maybe Your Baby Done Made Somebody Mad.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that song,
Yeah.
every lick that I do comes from that song. The way he phrased things, the way he hesitated as he did his riffs, it's just like, dude, how can you get more perfect than him?
Yeah.
And Aretha Franklin, Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, and Dr. Feelgood. And I would say maybe Hot Fun in the Summertime. Those four songs are pretty much my vocal vocabulary. And
That's cool.
it's
Yeah.
all about nuance. It ain't
Yeah.
about the notes, it's the nuance. It's how they went those things. If you don't get them, I can't feel you.
Oh,
You know.
dude, I tell you what, I had to sit in with a band years ago, and I was sitting in for a bass player, obviously, but he also sang Mustang Sally when they did it. So I was like, oh, okay, I've never sung this before, but I know the song, but I'll listen to it. Well, I listened to the original, and I'm like, yeah, and not, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm like, I am too white. I can't do that the way he does it, because he's got things in there that aren't of my background, so I'm not going to fake it.
And it's not that you're white, it's not in your background. Everything can be learned.
True.
It's just not in your background. I grew up in a town where it was predominantly white. I was the only black kid in my school at the time I graduated. Well, no, there was one black girl. She moved in my 8th grade.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
but pretty much there was like maybe 3 or 4 black families in the whole town I grew up in, and we've been there for generations.
Right.
So I learned to sing soulful. I sang like white kids. I sang show tunes. I did the Frank Sinatra stuff. I'm a little kid. I didn't know anything better.
Right.
This is the 50s. I moved in with my mother when I was about 14, and I started going to a black gospel church where they were wailing. They were throwing that shit down. And I
Yeah.
go, whoa, what is this?
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
then,
cool.
And then at that time, there was Aretha and Stevie Wonder and Sly, all that time. So all of a sudden, there's this new vocal thing that I'm going, whoa, and I learned. I learned how to do that like anybody else would.
Yeah.
And even in the black community, and to this day, I'm not a real soul singer in the black community. I'm not considered that. I'm kind of a white singer. I have soul, and I mix the two. You know, I can sing like a little white choir boy, and I can sing like I'm up in the church. That's just the two things that I've learned, and I've been trying to blend the two and make it my own, whether it's popular or not. You know, it's like that's just I'm just trying to find myself. Those two things. But yeah, so my point is, it's not that you're white; it's that you just weren't exposed to it. Because nowadays, white kids, there's some white kids that can whip you. I mean, I've been watching American Idol lately, and I'm in tears, going, "Ooh, this white girl making me cry."
Oh yeah,
you know, and I mean, it's learned, like Brad Pitt said, it can be learned.
Yeah, because I remember listening when I worked for Disney for a while in the stores, and I first heard Christina Aguilera. I did not expect to see this alabaster-skinned blonde,
right,
singing these songs. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, she could do it.
Yeah, she's got some soul in there. Well, I probably better let you get rolling.
Okay, I gotta pee so bad my teeth are turning yellow.
You know, I think I should probably do that too.
Prostate.
But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I look forward to keeping in touch with you about we'll do another show.
I'm here. You know,
we got to talk about everything outside of King.
Okay.
Have a good one, brother.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love everybody.